Hi everyone, how you doing? Hope you're all well. Hope you're doing okay. Another week, 10 weeks in, eh? Who'd have thought it? Here we are. Good. Hope everyone's great. If you've been back to work, it's not been too bad. If you're looking forward to going back on Monday, you must be mad. But either way, whatever your situation, I hope you're good. Um, Everyone's saying hello in the chat, which is great. If you can see at the top of that chat is the link for all the tonight's questions. So if you want to be able to read them, and read along. They should be in the order that I do them tonight, so hopefully you'll be able to keep along and on with that. And of course, the link in the description for the video is tonight's picture round, and that is flags, country flags. So you just got to name the country that flag belongs to. I think that's pretty much it. Apart from, I don't know if any of you are interested or not, but there's obviously this SpaceX and NASA launch tonight. Hopefully it might fall around about the time we take a break anyway, so I thought we might try and time it that way, and if anyone wants to go outside and see if they can see it. As far as I understand, if you look to the southwest, you might be able to see it going up, and then it might come round again about 10:30 as well. But so hopefully we'll try and time that right, and so we'll have a little break then. So if anyone does want to go and look, if they're not already outside, and see if they can spot the old Elon's money going up in smoke up there, then we can do. Cool. So I'll just give everyone a few minutes to get themselves sorted. If you've looked at the link for all the questions, you'll know, but otherwise I'll go through what the rounds are this week. So we've got round one. Well, it is a pub quiz after all. So the first round is all about alcohol. Second round is who am I, which is probably what you ask after you've had a lot of alcohol. The next round is riddles, which is pretty much what all of this is about. And then after that, 80s music. A sports round, of course, second to last as always, because you love it or you hate it, and a current affairs round to end. So, they're all there. I've got I have got someone who's going to let me know about the launch. So if we are running over and it's getting to that time, they're going to hopefully send me a message and remind me, so we can sort of try and round up and stop if we can. But it shouldn't be for very long, and it'll probably be as a natural break anyway. So, if everyone's pretty much ready, you let me know when you are, and we'll make a start on tonight's quiz. In the meantime, I'll fill up my glass, I think. Splendid. Okay, cool. So, let's get going with tonight's quiz then. So the first round is alcohol. So questions in some way or other based around that. So, number one. The shape of champagne glasses is said to have derived from a mould of whose breasts? Starting off a bit racy tonight. So the shape of champagne glasses is said to have derived from a mould of whose breasts? And question two. The earliest evidence of alcohol production dates back to which period of history? So the earliest evidence of alcohol production dates back to which period of history? And question 3. Alcohol is a word derived from which language? So alcohol is a word derived from which language? And question 4. The Manhattan cocktail, which is a blend of sweet vermouth and whiskey, was first created by the mother of which famous politician? So the Manhattan cocktail, blend of sweet vermouth and whiskey, was first created by the mother of which famous politician? And question 5. What year was beer first sold in cans? Was it 1935, 1940, or 1945? So what year was beer first sold in cans? 1935, 1940, or 1945? And question 6. In Greek mythology, who is the god of wine? In Greek mythology, who is the god of wine? And question 7. What is considered to be the oldest alcoholic beverage in the world? What is considered to be the oldest alcoholic beverage in the world? Is question 7. And number 8. With which country do people often associate cognac? With which country do people often associate cognac? Is question 8. And number 9. On average, how long does it take the body to break down 1 unit of alcohol? That's an adult, obviously. So, on average, how long does it take the body to break down 1 unit of alcohol? And finally, number 10. Gin was originally used for which purpose? So that's gin was originally used for which purpose? And that was number 10, the end of the alcohol round. I did forget to say at the beginning, another massive thank you for my own alcohol delivery today. Again, very kind of you. That was very sweet. Thank you once again. Yeah, so that's the end of the alcohol round. Anyone who's joined, I don't think there's anyone who joined a little bit late, but if you did, if you missed the start, as before, the link in the chat is for all the questions tonight, and your picture round is in the description, and it's flags. And so that's the end of that round. And we'll go on to round two, which is who am I? So I'm going to give you a bit of a cryptic clue, maybe whatever, a description of somebody, and you tell me who that famous person is. So, number one. If I'm not travelling the world with my chef pals, I'll try and find you a first date. If I'm not travelling the world with my chef pals, I'll try and find you a first date. So who am I? And number two. With a name like mine, I have to love fruity puddings, but I'm no longer the judge of others. With a name like mine, I have to love fruity puddings, but I am no longer the judge of others. And question three. I am the shorter one of the iconic duo that take an annual trip to Australian jungle, and love to have a Saturday night takeaway. So I'm the shorter one of the iconic duo that take an annual trip to the Australian jungle and love to have a Saturday night takeaway. And question four, a little bit of a disclaimer to go with this one at the end, but I'll say it first as I wrote it. At just 22, I am the youngest billionaire in the world. I am also part of the Kardashian family, though my surname would suggest otherwise. But today, in fact, Forbes announced that they've removed this person from their billionaire list, so unfortunately, I'm already out of date. But nonetheless, at the time of writing, this was the case. So at just 22, I am the youngest billionaire in the world. I am also part of the Kardashian family, though my surname would suggest otherwise. And number five. I went down like my name when I headlined Glastonbury, but Croydon High Street is where you might know me from. So I went down like my name when I headlined Glastonbury, but Croydon High Street is where you might know me from. That's one for the kids, that. So, Tony, I wouldn't bother trying to answer that one. And question six. My name sounds like a bit of a hole, but I did some of my best work in the oceans. My name sounds like a bit of a hole, but I did some of my best work in the oceans. And question seven. I may not be around anymore, but my classic disguise as a Scottish nanny will always make people smile. I may not be around anymore, but my classic disguise as a Scottish nanny will always make people smile? And question 8. One of my children is named after a fruit, and my ex-husband never shuts up about the colour yellow. One of my children's is named after a fruit, and my ex-husband never shuts up about the colour yellow. And number 9. I used to be in a band with Harry, and now I'm going to be a daddy. I used to be in a band with Harry, and now I'm going to be a daddy. And finally, number 10. My home workouts are probably getting you through lockdown. You'll be lean in 15. My home workouts are probably getting you through lockdown. You'll be lean in 15. So that's the end of the Who Am I round. Give you a second and to finish those off and to grab your answers for the alcohol round, and we will go through those before we move on to the next one. So, the alcohol round answers. Number 1. So the shape of champagne glasses is said to come from a mould of Marie Antoinette's breasts. And the earliest evidence of alcohol production dates back to the Stone Age. They knew it was important. Forget making a nice house. Get some beer on. And alcohol, the word itself derives from Arabic. And the Manhattan cocktail was created by Winston Churchill's mother. Question 5. Beer was first sold in cans in 1935. And question 6. The Greek mythology, the god of wine is Dionysus or Bacchus, if you want the Roman version of him, but Dionysus or Bacchus is fine. Question 7. The oldest alcoholic beverage is considered to be mead. And question 8. Cognac is associated with France. Question 9. The average human adult body takes 1 hour to process 1 unit of alcohol. And question 10. Gin was originally used as a medicine. Some would probably say it still is. So that's the end of the alcohol round. So the answers for those, and we will go on to the next round, which is riddles. Now, obviously, riddles can be a little bit ambiguous. Some of you may think that you've got a different answer for it that works. I'm hoping I've got ones and found ones and sort of adapted ones that don't have another answer. But if you can think of another answer for it, whatever. I'm not exactly marking it, am I? So I don't really care. You can have the point, don't have the point. I don't mind you, but I'll tell you the answer I've got for it. So, riddle number 1. The more you take of me, the more of me you leave behind. So the more you take of me, the more of me you leave behind. And number 2. What has a head, a tail, but never a body? What has a head, a tail, but never a body? It's question 2. And number 3. David's father has 3 sons. Snap, crackle, and... David's father has 3 sons. Snap, crackle, and... And question 4. What comes once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in 1,000 years? What comes once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in 1,000 years? And number 5. What has many keys but can't even open a single door? What has many keys but can't even open a single door? And number 6. 2 fathers and 2 sons went fishing one day. They each caught 1 fish each. Their total catch was 3 fish. How come? So 2 fathers and 2 sons went fishing one day. They each caught 1 fish each. Their total catch was 3 fish. How come? And number 7. What has 6 faces but does not wear makeup and has 21 eyes but cannot see? What has 6 faces but does not wear makeup and has 21 eyes but cannot see? And number 8. What runs around the whole field without moving? What runs around the whole field without moving? And number 9. I can be cracked, I can be made, I can be told, I can be played. What am I? Maybe should have been in the last round. I can be cracked, I can be made, I can be told, I can be played. What am I? And number 10, what belongs to you, but other people use it more than you? What belongs to you, but other people use it more than you? The final riddle. And so I'll leave you to ponder those if you need to. Maybe you've already got them all, or maybe they made no sense at all. If not, I'm sorry. But we will go back to the Who Am I round and do the answers for that. And then we might be heading close to a break time. I'm not sure yet whether. I've heard no news on rocket launch. I don't know whether it's gone off or not. But anyway, so who am I? So number 1, if I'm not travelling the world with my chef pals, I'll try and find you a first date. So that was old Fred, and I'm not going to try and say his surname. I can spell it for you if you like. It's Sirieix. But I'm not entirely sure how you say his final name, but I know. I think most people know him as Fred from First Dates. And number 2, with a name like mine, I have to love fruity puddings, but I no longer judge others, is Mary Berry. And number 3, the shorter of the iconic duo is Declan Donnelly. And number 4, yes, no longer apparently, according to Forbes, the youngest billionaire in the world, but nonetheless, not probably better off than you or I. That's Kylie Jenner. And number 5, the headliner at Glastonbury who went us down a storm. It's Stormzy. And number 6, his name's a bit like a hole. He's a pit, and he did his best work in the oceans. Brad Pitt. And number 7, of course, the classic, the wonderful Robin Williams. And number 8, a child named after a fruit and an ex who likes talking about yellow or singing about yellow is, of course, Gwyneth Paltrow. And number 9, he was in the band with Harry, but now he's going to be a dad, is Zayn. And number 10, of course, I'm pretty sure most of you knew that one. The home workouts, being lean in 15, are Joe Wicks. I tried, but only when I was at work. It's not for me. So it has lifted off, I've been told. So I'm not sure. I think it's about sort of 10-15 minutes from now. You might be able to see it if you want to go out. We'll maybe see how we're doing for and whether or not we stop and go and have a look. So we'll go on and do the answers. Well, no, we'll go on to the next round, and then maybe we'll stop after this one, and we might have a break after that one, and we can do see if anyone wants to go out and see if they can see it going up. So it's the 80s music round is next. And so, question 1. What year was Live Aid? What year was Live Aid is question 1. And question 2. In which iconic song's music video do Queen parody Coronation Street? So in which iconic song's music video do Queen parody Coronation Street? And question 3. According to Bananarama, which Hollywood actor was waiting in 1984? So, according to Bananarama, which Hollywood actor was waiting in 1984? And question 4. Who was the only person to have more than one solo Christmas number one during the 80s? So, who was the only person to have more than one solo Christmas number one during the 80s? And question 5. Which singer songwriter's real name is Michael Barrett? Which singer songwriter's real name is Michael Barrett? That's question 5. And question 6. Name the song for me. It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing 100 men or more could ever do. It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. Name that song for me. And question 7. How old were George Michael and Andrew Ridgeley when they wrote Careless Whisper? Were they 17, 19, or 22? So, how old was George Michael and Andrew Ridgeley when they wrote Careless Whisper? 17, 19, or 22? And question 8. Who went straight to number one in 1981 with Stand and Deliver? Who went straight to number one in 1981 with Stand and Deliver? And question 9. What was the best-selling single of the decade in the UK? What was the best-selling single of the decade in the UK? It's question 9. And finally, number 10. Bobby G, Mike Nolan, Jay Aston, and which other person complete this bubbly quartet? Bobby G, Mike Nolan, Jay Aston, and which other person complete this bubbly quartet? So that's the end of the 80s music round. So I'll go through the answers to the riddles and then we will have a break. And I think that times it pretty much right if you want to go outside and have a look. 5 minutes and then we'll carry on with the last couple of rounds. So the riddles, as I say, I'm sorry if you think there's a different answer for that, but you can't really argue with me, can you? So, God, that love social distancing. I'm safe for a little bit longer until someone can get close enough to really moan at me. Anyhow, so number 1, the more you take of me, the more of me you leave behind. I am footsteps. Number 2, what has a head, a tail, but never a body? A coin. David's father has 3 sons. Snap, Crackle, and David. It's David's father, and he's one of the sons. What comes once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in 1,000 years? The letter M. What has many keys but can't even open a single door? A piano, or a keyboard if you wrote that. That's fine by me. But something like that. So, number 6. 2 fathers and 2 sons went fishing one day. They each caught 1 fish each, and they ended up with a total of 3 fish. Why is that? Because it was a grandfather, a father, and a son that went fishing. Just the 3 of them. That makes 2 fathers and 2 sons. So what has 6 faces but doesn't wear makeup? Has 21 eyes but cannot see? A dice. 6 faces, and little dots are quite often referred to as eyes. Snake eyes when you roll them. So, question 8. What runs around the whole field without moving? A fence. A fence runs all the way around the outside, doesn't it? And number 9. I can be cracked, I can be made, I can be told, I can be played. I am a joke. I can crack a joke, make a joke, tell a joke, or play a joke. And what belongs to you, but others use it more than you, is your name. So, that's the end of the riddles. As I say, we'll take a break now. I think it's probably about a good time anyway. And I'll be honest with you, I'll probably do with the loo. Not that you really wanted to know that, but there you are. I'm all about sharing me. So, we'll have a break now. I'm going to quickly nip outside and see if there's anything flying to the southwest if you're really interested. If you're not and you're really bored, just go get another drink and come back in a minute and you can stare at my blank wall for a moment instead. Cool. See you in a minute. Bye. Hello, everyone. Don't know if anyone's back. Everyone might be outside not watching this. I might be talking to myself now. Or you might not bothered. I think it's probably too bright. I didn't see anything. I reckon it may be too bright. We're too lucky with the weather. Apparently, we might not be able to see it, but some of you might be out there. Let me know once you are all back. That'd be good, and then we can carry on with the last two rounds. So, just a few people, just let me know that you're here and you've not gone out to wait. No, I'm afraid it looks like there's nothing. It's meant to be near the moon. Apparently, if you look towards the moon, you're looking in the right direction, and it should go up and round. But apparently, about 20 past 10, you might see it pass again before it reaches the International Space Station. Should that be your thing and you want to look? But thought I'd have a look. So these things don't happen that often, do they? So anyway, we're back. I think most people are back. Hopefully they're back. If you're not, if you come back and you're halfway through, you know how to just scroll back through the stream anyway. And start at whatever point you would need to be at. So we'll get the last two rounds done and then leave you all to your Saturday evenings, and you don't have to look at my ugly mug anymore. So, okay, right, we will do the next round and then we'll go back and do the answers to the 80s music. So this round is just a general sports round. Okay. Question 1. Before Andy Murray, who was the last British tennis player to win a men's singles Grand Slam tournament? So before Andy Murray, who was the last British tennis player to win a men's singles Grand Slam tournament? And question 2. After retiring from professional cycling, what other sport did Bradley Wiggins briefly attempt to make a career in? So after retiring from professional cycling, what other sport did Bradley Wiggins briefly attempt to make a career in? And question 3. Which English footballer was famously never given a yellow card? So which English footballer was famously never given a yellow card? And question 4. Which course is the Masters Golf Tournament held? So at which course is the Masters Golf Tournament held? And question 5. England won the 2003 Rugby World Cup thanks to that iconic drop goal from Johnny Wilkinson. But how many points did England score in that match? Was it 15, 17 or 20? So England won obviously the 2003 World Cup, the Rugby World Cup, but how many points did they score in the match? 15, 17 or 20? And question 6. Name the only football club, or football team, whatever, to sack Sir Alex Ferguson as a manager. Name the only football team to sack Sir Alex Ferguson as a manager. And question 7. In which sport is 180 deemed a perfect score? In which sport is 180 deemed a perfect score? And that's question 7. And question 8. At which Olympics did Kelly Holmes win 2 gold medals? At which Olympics did Kelly Holmes win 2 gold medals? And question 9. How many times has Rafa Nadal won the French Open? How many times has Rafa Nadal won the French Open? And finally, question 10. What is Usain Bolt's 100-meter world record time? Is it 9.48 seconds, 9.58, or 9.68 seconds? So Usain Bolt's world record 100 meters time, 9.48, 9.58, or 9.68 seconds. And that's the end of the sports. So I'll give you a second to grab your answers to the 80s music. Definitely my favourite round to do that was. Took me back to a happier time. And we'll do the answers. So, number 1. What year was Live Aid? It was 1985. Question 2. Queen's parody of Coronation Street and their music video was for the song I Want to Break Free. Question 3. According to Bananarama, it was Robert De Niro who was waiting. And question 4. The only person to have more than one solo Christmas number 1 during the 80s was Cliff Richard. He had 2 on his own, and then he was in Band Aid as well for 3. So 3 in a row, in fact. And question 5. The singer-songwriter whose real name is Michael Barrett is Shakin' Stevens. And the song with the lyrics, it's going to take a long to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do, is Africa by Toto. And question 7. George Michael and Andrew Ridgeley were 17 when they wrote Careless Whisper. Question 8. Stand and Deliver went straight into number 1 in 1981 by Adam Ant. And question 9, of course, the best-selling single of the decade was Do They Know It's Christmas? And question 10, The Missing Person from Bobby G, Mike Nolan and Jay Aston, who made up the Bubbly Quartet, which of course was Bucks Fizz, and the missing person was Cheryl Baker. So that's the end of the 80s music round. And we'll go on to our final round for the night, current affairs. Some interesting things happened this week, that's for sure. And so let's see what we've paid attention to, or tried to ignore, more to the point. So, sorry, I've just seen a new hello to Em as well. Hi. In the chat. Current affairs. Question 1. What royal rocker had a major health scare earlier this year, but now fit and well, and announced it this week. So Royal Rocker had a major health scare, but is now fit and well. They announced this week. And question 2. Which supercar manufacturer was the latest to announce job losses this week? So which supercar manufacturer was the latest to announce job losses this week? Is question 2. And question 3. J.K. Rowling released her first new children's book in some years this week, but she has asked the readers to help her with it. What has she asked them to do? So J.K. Rowling released her first new children's book in some years this week, but she has asked the readers to help her with it. What has she asked them to do? And question 4. Bob Wheaton, or Wheaton, Weighton, Wheaton, sadly died this week. But why was it such big news? So Bob Wheaton died this week, but why did it make such big news? And question 5. The Premier League announced its planned return this week, but what date does it hope to restart matches? So the Premier League announced its planned return this week. What date does it hope to restart matches? Hope to restart matches. Make a question up out of that, not somehow. And question 6. Apple TV announced it was bringing back one of Jim Henson's much-loved shows, 33 years since its last airing. What is that show? So Apple TV announced that it was bringing back one of Jim Henson's much-loved shows, 33 years since its last airing. What is it? Definitely one of my favourites. Huh? And question 7. What did Twitter do to Donald Trump this week for the first time? Unfortunately, not cut him off. But they did do something to his tweets this week. What did they do? And question 8. Which former UK colony has been fighting for its freedom more than ever this week? Which former UK colony has been fighting for its freedom more than ever this week? And question 9. This one should be quite easy, really, considering. The UK has enjoyed some wonderful weather this week, but the same can't be said about Florida. What did the bad weather prevent from happening over in Florida earlier this week. It's another one I wrote before the dates changed. So lovely weather here this week, but in Florida the weather wasn't so nice, and it stopped something from happening. But what? And finally, number 10. I couldn't help for this one, sorry. According to top government advisors, what is a good course of action if you are worried about your eyesight and not sure if you can drive long distances? So, according to top government advisors, what is a good course of action if you are worried about your eyesight and not sure if you can drive long distances? What do you think you should do? It seemed too easy. I could not do that one. I apologise. So there we go. That's the end of that. That's the end of all the questions for this week. We will go through the sports round in just a second once you've grabbed your answers. Then we'll do that final round, and then we'll do the answers to the flags. I did forget to say right at the beginning, of course, if anyone did the midweek teaser, then I will post the answers to that. I will add the link to this video when it goes up. So if you want to see the answers to the midweek teaser, just find this video on YouTube on the channel. There'll be an extra link in the description, which will have all the answers to the midweek teaser in it, which was the logos, wasn't it, this week? So yeah, so that's it. Great. So here we go. The answers for the sports web. So number 1, before Andy Murray, who was the last British tennis player to win a men's major Grand Slam, was Fred Perry. And question 2, Bradley Wiggins, when he gave up cycling, he had a go at rowing. Didn't work out quite so well for him. Question 3, the English footballer famously for never being booked, Gary Lineker. And question 4, the course that hosts the Masters Golf is Augusta. Question 5, England won the 2003 Rugby World Cup, and they scored 20 points. Question 6, the only club to sack Alex Ferguson as a manager is St Mirren. The sport that regards 180 as its perfect score is, of course, darts. And question 8, Kelly Holmes won 2 gold medals at the Athens Olympics. 2004, if you'd wrote the name of the date rather than the location, sorry, but 2004, the Athens Olympics. How many times has Rafa Nadal won the French Open? It's 12. And number 10, Usain Bolt's record-breaking 100-meter time is 9.58 seconds. That's the answer to that. The answers to the current affairs. So the Royal Rocker, he announced he actually had a small heart attack, it was believed. It was Brian May, but he said he's fully fit now. Question 2, McLaren were the latest to announce, or supercar manufacturers at least, to announce job losses this week. J.K. Rowling's new book that's being released online, she has asked the readers to submit illustrations for it. There's no pictures as yet. And question 4, Bob Waiton. He was in the news when he died this week because at the time he was the world's oldest man. He only became the world's oldest man in February as well, after a man in Japan died. And he is now also, unfortunately, gone. 114, I believe it was. Or 111. I forgot to write it down. Sorry. So number 5. Anyway, the Premier League announced it plans to restart matches on the 17th of June. And number 6, Apple TV is going to bring back Jim Henson's Fraggle Rock. Fraggle Rock. And question 7. Yeah, unfortunately, all Twitter did to Donald Trump was put a fact checker label on his tweet and not to disconnect his account. Oh well. And the former UK colony that has been really fighting for freedom, especially this week more than ever, is Hong Kong. And number 9, of course, I didn't know they were going to go definitely off on Saturday when I did this after it was delayed. But it was, of course, the SpaceX mission that was delayed earlier this week due to bad weather in Florida. And finally, number 10, the government advisor is a good course of action if you're not sure if you're fit to drive due to eyesight. Well, yes, it would seem to do a 60-mile round trip. Any answer like that? Be a bit of a numpty. Fail to apologise. I don't care what answer you put for that one. I think you know what we were trying to get at with that, so it doesn't really matter. But there you go. So that's the final answer. I put down, do a 60-mile round trip to a castle. So that's the answer I gave, but you give whatever answer you like, really. It was just my chance to have a little dig. Anyhow, so the answers to the picture round, the flags, I am just going to try and get them up. I didn't print those ones off, I'm afraid. So, and it will go really slowly, I'm sorry, because of this ancient computer, so bear with me for that. Oh my dear. I can remember the first one being India, I think, but there we go. It's running even slower than normal. I'm really sorry. No. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right. This will teach me to try and save some ink. I think it's going to open for me now. So I'm going to read it from left to right, going across 3 and then 3 and then 3, from left to right across. So from left to right, number 1 was India. Number 2 was Brazil. The next one along was Bulgaria. Then down the line, the next one was Argentina. Then Spain and Honduras. And then we got Chile, South Africa and France. Belgium, Egypt and Austria. On to the next page, from left to right again. Iceland, Netherlands, Romania. Ireland, Turkey, Albania. Saudi Arabia, Czech Republic, Nigeria. Japan, Norway, Cameroon, And the last one at the bottom on the right is Sweden. So hopefully you got all of those. What I will do, I will add that link to the answers for the picture round as well onto the description for the quiz for tonight, so you can have a look at all of those. And that's about it. I hope you've had a good time. I hope everyone's still well. I hope everyone's still coping all right and managing. Barbecues next week. Hey, we can all go out and have a lovely barbecue. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I mean, if you want to carry on, I'll carry. I don't mind. I was back to work all this week, and I still, didn't seem to have too much trouble getting the questions done. So it's not too much of a hardship for me, really. It's not a hardship at all, really. I'm making it like it is. It's easy, and it keeps me busy. So I'm happy to do it. But if nobody wants to, I understand. The weather's nice. People don't want to be stuck in on a Saturday night watching this nonsense. So there it goes. Let me know. Anyway, other than that, I'll be on the chat for a few minutes, but I'll stop this because no one wants to listen to me ramble on or look at my face. So, cool. Take care, everyone. See you soon. Hope you enjoyed the quiz. And take care. Have a good week. See ya.